So, you're in school and your professors or teachers are assigning you a lot of reading assignments. Maybe you're in college and your high school teachers didn't ask you to do this much reading, or maybe you're a high school student working in a new curriculum, or maybe you're not a student and you just want to get a better understanding of the books that you're reading in your free time. I'm Rosalie, and I loved going to school so much that I got a master's degree in library science, the dorkiest of all master's degrees. I noticed a lot of professors talking about how students don't do some of their assignments correctly. So to try and help learners who were never taught how to read in an academic context, I made this video. In here, we're going to go over some goals and methods for reading. This means we're going to talk about why professors assign readings, what do they expect you to get out of them. Then we're going to talk about coaching, which is a method for critical reading that improves understanding and makes discussions easier. Then it's on to how to tackle being assigned full books or plays, because that can be really intimidating. Then we'll go over methods for reading and highlighting textbooks, as this will be different than other types of reading. And lastly, we'll do a little wrap up. This video will be geared more towards undergraduate students, but everyone is welcome. Are you ready? Good, because here we go. Like, literally, what's the point? If you don't know why your teacher is asking you to do these assignments, then they can feel pointless and worthless and like a waste of your time. There are a couple of different reasons why professors assign readings. The most basic answer to this question is that they can give you an understanding of the subject of the class. Because most classes at the undergraduate level don't meet every day, you have less in-class time than you did during high school. As a result, a lot of the learning has to happen outside of class time. What you're expected to learn will obviously depend on the class. So if you're in an intro-level course, you'll be learning the foundational ideas of that field of study, so that you have context and background to participate in discussions in both higher level courses and after you graduate. On the other hand, if you're in an upper level course, you should already know these foundational ideas. So the readings will be geared towards teaching you advanced theory and discussions. It's important to recognize that you are often entering into an ongoing scholarly conversation, not a finished conversation. Another reason professors assign readings is because scholarship is a conversation. Academia is all about communication, and you are in academia. Research in scholarly and professional fields is a discursive practice in which ideas are formulated, debated, and weighed against one another over extended periods of time. You have to listen to the discussion before you can join in. It's worth noting that you don't have to do every single reading every professor assigns, and you also don't have to do them all to the same level of thoroughness. You're an adult and you're in college, and part of both of those things is learning your limits and practicing time management. While it's a good idea to do most or all of the readings, that's not always going to be possible. But if you do the readings as they're assigned, you don't have to cram read a bunch of papers all at once to get citations for essays. Coaching is a method of reading that helps you prepare for discussions and essays while you're reading by helping you build a stronger understanding of the text. It can be a little time-consuming, especially when you first start using it, but by reading this way, you get better at thinking about, processing, and understanding readings. I learned how to do this my freshman year of high school, and I used it all of high school, all of undergrad, and all of grad school. I'm telling you that it works. While you're reading, you're going to be using a highlighter, pens, or text boxes if you're working on your computer, whatever you like, to write the following: definitions of words you aren't familiar with, questions, both clarifying and discussion questions, summaries of sections, main ideas, and quotes or ideas that you really like. You're going to be doing these things all at the same time while you read, stopping as you go to take notes about the topics. Highlight words you don't know and look up their definitions and write them down. If you don't know what a word means, it can be difficult to understand the surrounding sentence. Even if you use context clues to get a general understanding of a word, the author chose that particular word, so it might have some implications or specificity of meaning that are worth looking into. Plus, if you're studying for the SATs, it's a good way to expand your vocabulary. Or, if you're not studying for the SATs, it's still a good way to expand your vocabulary. There are two types of questions you'll want to be writing down as you go. The first is clarifying questions, and the second is discussion questions. Not every reading is going to make 100% sense to you right away. And that's fine, and that's normal, and it's even good because it means you're learning. To help build that understanding, you can ask clarifying questions about sections or ideas you don't understand. By writing down these questions, you're identifying sticking points, which is a skill in and of itself. Having them written also makes it easier to find these sections again later when you're talking to someone about them. That's the key part about these kinds of questions, talking to someone else about them. It's great to identify confusion, but it's not going to be particularly helpful to your understanding of the text unless you try to answer these questions. Depending on the class structure, it might make the most sense for you to ask these questions during class or during office hours. If you'd rather work towards a solution with some of your classmates than with your professor, you can also do that by creating a study group and meeting to talk through everyone's clarifying questions before class. Discussion questions or seminar questions are questions to be posed to your classmates during class or group discussions. These types of questions force you to think about the ideas of the text, not just the facts, which allows your understanding to move beyond the surface level. These questions also allow for better in-class discussions with more flow, since you can participate or even move the conversation along if it lags. As a nice bonus, your professor might ask a question similar to one of your discussion questions, which means you had time to think about your answer before class. While you're reading, take the time to write short, like 1, maybe 2 sentences, or a couple of bullet points, summaries of what was said each paragraph or in each section. By restating what the author is saying in a condensed way, you're both identifying major ideas and demonstrating your understanding of the text to yourself. I find that this is most useful when I'm having a hard time understanding a reading, or when I expect to have to use a reading as a source for an essay, and I want to be able to find specific sections more quickly. This is related to summarizing in that you're identifying the main ideas the author is presenting. It's pretty straightforward, so I don't have a lot to say, but it's a way of demonstrating and clarifying your own understanding. It's like summarizing, except you're highlighting instead of writing, so it's like a little bit faster. All of these steps are optional, since you can decide how you want to do your own readings, but this one is the most optional. With papers, there are at least a few lines that I find particularly beautiful or that I agree with strongly, and taking the time to pay attention to those sections can bring some positivity and fun into the potentially not fun reading process. This demonstration is just meant to give you an idea of what the coaching process is going to look like. This is not going to be a situation where you have to reread the whole paper multiple times in order to get an understanding of it. This process is meant to be, as you read through the paper, you are stopping to take notes, depending on what comes up within you. As you can see, I have those 4 different highlighters there. Those are going to be each for a different subject. So the yellow highlighter I'm using to identify main ideas. The orange, I'm highlighting pieces of text that I think are worth discussing or that I have questions or comments on. Some of those are going to be clarifying questions. Some of those are going to be discussion questions. The blue is for word definitions. As you can see, some of those words I'm highlighting in blue, it's just the highlight, and that means that the word is defined in the text itself, but it's a new word to me. Whereas other times I will highlight a word and then write the definition next to it. That's when the word is not defined in the text. And the pink is for sections that I like. Again, this is just meant to give you an idea of what the coaching process could look like. This is not prescriptive. This is not meant to be, here's how you should do it, here's how you have to do it. I just wanted to make sure that my audio description was accompanied by a visual depiction of what coaching can look like, what the process is as you're reading a paper. Not all of the readings you get assigned in a class will be essays or even chapters. Some of them will be full-on books or multiple plays. You can apply the coaching process to these as well, or just pick a couple of components, whatever works best for you. In terms of tackling these longer readings, there's a 3-step process to help you get through it. Listen to me. You can do this. And once you've done it once, you can do it over and over again. It seems like a lot because it is a lot, but that doesn't mean you need to freak out. Take a deep breath and make the decision to give it a go. These assignments are big, so it's important to break them down into smaller, more manageable pieces. Cards on the table, I have no idea how long it takes me to read a page of text, so instead I focus on the page, chapter, or scene count to determine how much I will read each day. For example, if I have 10 chapters to read and 5 days to do the readings, I'll do 2 chapters a day. But if you're more of a time-focused individual than I am, it might make more sense for you to schedule an hour or 2 or however much time you need to read each day. Obviously, sometimes your schedule is going to make it difficult to read the same amount every day if you're really busy one day and not as busy the next. So be sure to be flexible with yourself. For example, if there are 10 chapters and I have 5 days to read it, but one of those days is really busy, I might read 2 chapters a day on the first 2 days, then nothing on my busy day, then 3 chapters a day for the next 2 days. Breaking it down into these bite-sized pieces means instead of thinking, oh geez, I have to read a whole book, you can think, oh, I just have to read a chapter tonight. You did it. You did the dang thing. Now you have proof for yourself of what you're capable of, which means your next full book assignment will be less intimidating. Keep up the good work. Textbooks are different than other types of readings because they're more information heavy rather than idea heavy. So there's usually no need to do the full coaching process with them. The only parts of a textbook you want to highlight are key ideas and main points that you want to stick in your brain and be able to find again easily. If you highlight the whole textbook, you've basically highlighted nothing because nothing important stands out. You should be able to use one highlighter to go through a textbook. I use multiple because I like color coding. When you're highlighting a textbook, I'm demonstrating it here with one color highlighter just to show you sort of what I'm looking for when I am highlighting a textbook. And that is just the main ideas. I'm not highlighting even full sentences, just words within a sentence that I think are important to draw the eye back to. These are meant to cue you to remember what the textbook is saying. They aren't meant to be full sentences that are worth memorizing, just those key ideas, those main points, little bits and pieces here and there that are important to be able to find again. Ultimately, this video is meant to be a tool in your belt, not a command of how exactly you should do everything all the time. Do what works for you, and know that that will probably change from reading to reading. Color code or don't. Write discussion questions or don't. Add steps, remove them. Whatever makes the reading understandable and usable by you is the method that works. That being said, I recommend giving them all a try to see if you like them. Do what's useful, and if you don't know what's useful, then practice until you do. Obviously, there's kind of an elephant in the room with AI and students using AI to create summaries of their readings. I'm choosing not to address that. My thinking is that if you're here watching this video, it's because you know AI is an option and you are choosing to try something else. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check back in the future to see more videos like this geared at clarifying educational goals and practices. Have a good one.